Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world of Wayne. It's now time that we're going to start building the Orca from Jaws. Now I say start, we're not actually really doing much today. I'm going to show you what I've done at the moment, what I intend to do. I'm going to show you a bit of a detail of what's going on with the boat and some of the things that we're going to be replacing in it. And I'm also going to show you some screen grabs from the film Jaws, just to show you some of the differences that we've noticed straight away. So I'm going to give you a little bit of history of this. If you remember on the channel, around about 8 months ago, we had the opportunity with the Sprueverse challenge to make a scene from Jaws, which was Hooper in the shark cage with the shark attacking, fill a tank full of resin so it's in water. Now if you haven't seen that, I've put the playlist up here and you'll be able to see that. The playlist is also down in the video description. It started good. The middle was a bit wavy and the less said about the end the better. It was a catastrophe. If we're being honest, it was a catastrophe. But the shark that we were building in that and painting was actually sculpted by an artist called Bill Weiger. Now, Bill's got a website, and I'll just show you a few things on his website here. The reason that I build that up is because Bill is the one that's actually made this boat and sculpted this boat. And Phil from Sprueverse saw this at the Wonderfest convention over in Louisville, Kentucky in May this year. And it is funny if you watch that video, and again, I will put that video up here for you to click on and have a look at that. It's in the video description as well. But no matter where he is in the room, he's gravitating towards this model. And I'm sure, as you can see here, the model is amazing. And I've taken some of the screen grabs of that Bill's taken of his model just to see the amount of detail that's in it. So then we've got a model of the Orca that we really want to build. I've wanted to build the Orca for a long time, but the problem we've got is Phil lives in LA and I'm in the UK, and trying to get something this big, full of resin, over to the UK in one piece is a bit of a challenge. So we were lucky that Phil was actually over in the UK last week and he joined me right here in the workshop and bought this personally himself, and it's come completely intact in one piece. So we both have one of these. We're both going to be building them on the channels, and we're going to be putting our own flair into it to see how much level of detail we can actually get into. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is just show you the boat. So this is the main body of the boat. You can see the Orca at the back there. Looks absolutely brilliant. Now, I don't know how this has been molded because it is one piece, but this section here is hollow. And I know that because I am going to be drilling out these portholes here. And I did drill one here just to see how thick this wall is. It's probably about half a centimetre to a centimetre thick. So we are going to be replacing these portholes. But this is what the base looks like. Now I will be priming this, but I won't be using an airbrush because it's so big. For something this size, I've actually got some Rust-Oleum matte grey primer coming that I can just actually spray all over. For everything else, I will be using my airbrush primer to get that into one place. But as you can see, you have got the spaces in the base here where you can actually put things when they come. So I'll give you an example. The seating area here has got a lug on the bottom. That's just going to match what you see there. So that will fit just in there like that. And then we've got the windows. This is just the front window here. That's going to fit on this section here. There's sort of like a little place for this to go, but that will be glued into place just like that. I'm trying to give you an idea of how this looks. And if we continue on with that, we've got the interior window here, which will fit into this section like that. They do have sort of like slot-ins so that when it's in, as you can see, it's not going to go anywhere. Now, when I was thinking about how I'm going to start this model, I've decided that I'm going to start with this whole interior area here first, including the bridge section, which goes on top, and the roof section, which is going to be going on kind of like that. The reason being is because I believe this whole area here is the heart of the boat. This is where the Indianapolis speech took place. This is where they're comparing stars. This is where most of the dialogue from the movie is taking place. Now, for that reason, we've watched that section loads and loads and loads of times, and we've realised there are some discrepancies. In fact, there is a guy on YouTube who's actually building the Orca for real, so I thank you for this bit of advice, and I'll put the link for his channel just up here as well. This regards the seating area. Now, as you can see on my one, it's a U-shaped section, but it isn't U-shaped, it's only L-shaped. You've got to remember when they filming this that they had cameras on that side as well, so this whole section would have need to be able to be taken out and in to get the cameras in there. But if you just look at this scene here, you can see Roy Scheider's actually just going straight in there without a seat in its place at all. In fact, if there was a seat there, that Louvre door wouldn't have been able to open all the way. But what we do think it was a barrel which holds the oscilloscope. And we do have one of them, which I'm going to show you in a second. But in the film, it looks like this. So we do believe that in the scene where they're all talking about the Indianapolis and comparing their scars, Hooper was actually sitting on that barrel. But I mean, it's use your imagination on this, I think. So let me show you what we're going to do with the interior. So I'm just showing you the interior of the windows first. Now I'm going to paint these all mahogany. The whole interior is mahogany. But this side, which is the side that's outside, will be painted just normal paint. But this side, which is the inside, I am actually going to be using real mahogany to get that effect. So I'm going to cut this into planks and we're going to have this all wooden inside, just like the boat was in the film. This is great stuff, and when I stain this, it's going to be the colour that I need it to be, that you can see in the film. Quite cheap as well. I think this is about £3 to buy a sheet of this. It's 0.8mm thick, so shouldn't have a problem there. Now, because I am going to change the seating area, as I said, this bit definitely wasn't there because obviously that door wouldn't open. Rather than just cut this at this section and just have an L-shaped seating area, what I'm going to do is I'm going to completely rebuild this out of wood, and then I'm going to get Mrs. Weldawayne to make some cushions for it. And I've got this lovely blood red faux leather sheet, and I'm going to get her to make me some cushions to add a bit more authenticity to that area. No idea how that's going to come out, but you know, I've set myself a challenge. The actual area that I'm going to be working on first is actually the bridge section, which will eventually go on the roof, because the reason being is when it comes to painting, the underside of the roof is the ceiling of that cabin. And that's why I need to get this section done first. Now, I have been doing a lot of cleanup for this. It didn't need too much. I've got some more to do just at the bottom here. And there's a bit which I can't get to just behind the control panel here, which means I am going to get the Dremel out. But that's what that's looking like. Obviously, we've got some dials to fill in as well. I have got some dials, which I'm going to try and get someone to make some decals for, so that that's a little bit more screen accurate as well. Now, I mentioned the portholes before. There's a website called Model Boat Bits. And this is where I got this from. This is the perfect size to fit in the side of the Orca. They're already pre-glazed, they're bronze, and they look like that. I believe these are 14mm with an 11mm indent in the middle. So that's what I'm using for that. I need something slightly bigger, which I've ordered for this side. So I've got the same sort of thing in a bigger size to go in this side. And I've actually got one that opens to put in the other side here. I don't need the two bits of glass, but I do want that brass surround in this section just here. This is the doorway, obviously. We do have a door separate to go in with that. But as I said, everything on the outside is going to be painted, but on the inside is going to be lined with wood. So that just leaves me to show you some of the things that we've got here. So we've got the mast section here. There is another section which is going to go off, which sort of sits up at that direction to the mast, but I'll find that in a second. Very long, but I won't be using this. You can see it's got a bend in at the moment anyway. This mast is all resin. Not going to be using that. I'm going to be getting my own doweling, and I've got a lathe here, and I'm going to turn this myself. So we've got our own mast, which is perfectly straight, and it's probably a bit taller than this one. I think the mast needs to be a bit taller. We've got the bow section here, which Chief Brody's made to stand on while Hooper's looking for scow of the shark. That section there. Again, I think this will be good in wood. I don't know if I'm going to be putting that in wood yet, or if I'm actually going to just paint this. We'll have to see how that goes. We've got the iconic barrels, which I've made a large one of these before, so I'm going to be doing this on a small scale. And we've got some sort of goods here which have been covered in tarpaulin. Not sure where that goes in the boat, but as you see, you have got a lug down the bottom, so it's pretty easy to see where that's going to go into the boat when that comes round. Now with the windows you see here, I've got some 2mm acrylic, which I've just done a test to see if this cuts okay. I've actually got a jigsaw coming, or a scroll saw, so I can cut these down so I can have some good glazing in all the windows. And then I'm going to have to stain them up a bit because these windows are far from clean. This is one time that I do want the windows scratched and foggy. I don't want them clear. Continuing on with some of these bags, as you can see, you've got the chair here, which Quint is fishing in, which is amazing because it actually disappears and reappears throughout the film. In fact, in some scenes, you have got a sort of hole in the deck where this fits in. And in other scenes, that hole completely disappears. So like there was never a chair there in the first place. Gas canisters. And then obviously we've got another section here, which is going inside the cabin. Really small details here. We've got some chum barrels looking like that. And then we've got some cleats. I've got these in metal as well, so I probably won't be using these. I'll probably be using metal cleats for that. A few more details, some beer bottles there. We've got the shark cage, which we've got to build. I won't be having this together. This will actually be stashed behind the ladder, like it was in the film. And talking of the ladder, that's what that's looking like. It needs a lot of cleanup, this does. As you can see, the flashing inside here is just coming away anyway. I don't think I'm going to be using this. I think I'm going to be making it out of metal. And I believe Phil over on the Sprueverse channel is actually doing this as one of his first tasks. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes out. There's the table for the interior of the cabin there. So that will just fit kind of like that in there, if you can picture that. Looking good. We've got the rudder and propeller. Going to have some fun doing that. Again, I can actually get metal propellers, so I don't know if I'm going to be using that one. Some pieces for the mast and the toolbox and books, which goes again into that interior cabin. We've got the wheel, and we've also got the jaws, which are onto the front of the Orca, which actually go into this section just here, as you can see in the film as well. I think there's a black circle in there that they actually mount onto as well, so we'll get that done. The control panel for the interior bridge. Some parts here, not quite sure what these are, but I'm sure I'll figure that out later. And then the smokestack looking like that. I'm going to have a lot of fun weathering this one up as well. And then finally, Jeffrey Fink on the channel has actually made some lampshades which go above the table in this section here. Not quite sure what size. He's done two sizes for me. I'm thinking the smaller one, but it might be the bigger one. I'm not sure. These are 3D printed on a resin printer. And I will be electrifying it, just so you know. So there will be electrics in this. All this is going to light up. In fact, in this bag here, as you can see, you've got the main spotlight for the boat. Now, I can't find one that looks like that. So I'm probably going to use this one. And I'm going to electrify it up and put a bulb in there. But I do want as much light as possible that was on the Orca for the film. So that is everything that you see there. It's quite overwhelming. But as I said, I am going to be starting on this top section here, mainly on account that I want to do the interior cabin first, and the top section also makes the interior cabin roof. So first thing to do, clean everything up, prime everything, and then we'll start getting the painting and doing the detail for the dials. Now things like the decals for this, I'm going to be making from scratch, so I don't know if that's going to be something you're interested in seeing me design those. I use a program called PaintJot Pro, make them far bigger than they need to be, so when they shrink down it keeps the detail. But that's how we're going to do the decals for that. So that's the challenge. Now this isn't going to be one of those builds that are just like 3 months like the ET spaceship was. This is going to have a lot of detail. The challenge here is to get as much screen accurate detail as we possibly can in a model of this size. So it is going to take a few months, I reckon. But don't just check my channel out. It's going to be interesting to see what Phil over on Sprueverse, once again I'll put the link up here for the Sprueverse channel, to see what he's doing as well, because we are both going to tackle this in different ways. Even though we're communicating on what things we're going to be doing, it'll be interesting to see what our own flair does. Once the boat's finished, we've got to build a diorama, so that's going to be fun as well. But this is a really exciting build for the channel. I can't wait to do this, because this is one of these things that you can actually now put your own flair into, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So aside from the fact that I've just watched Jaws about 60,000 times and I've taken loads and loads of screen grabs from it, I'm probably going to, before I prime this, give it one more watch. Anyway, listen, I really do hope you like that video. I really do hope you're going to love this series. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, take care.